That's it.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It is live. We are Sportskeeda Wrestling. You are with us right now, and we got a lot to talk about. Whether you're on demand, whether you're in the live stream, get in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, all the internet things. We're talking to Total Bellas. They could be ending their presence on television soon, as you know it. Big ratings news that has shifted in a way that maybe some All Elite Wrestling fans are not too happy. Talk about being preempted by the playoffs. We'll get into the numbers for Smackdown, Raw, and so much more. It's today's Sportskeeda Wrestling top story of the day. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out! What up, broski? How are you doing, Mr. Jose G, official? How are you?
I'm doing very well, Kev. What's going on, broski?
Oh, plenty to dive into. If you're with us live, go ahead and hit the like button. All the engagements, so they have to be engaged. Engage against the machine, everybody. We have plenty to get into. We have these numbers that are kind of trickling in here. We're 2 weeks into AEW being preempted from their usual Wednesday night spot on TNT. They've done a lot of fun things on these Friday shows. They have one that was a go home for a pay-per-view. And the number was down, and people were expecting the number to be down. It's just okay.
I thought it was going to done. Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, it's going to be down. You know, you're getting moved from your Wednesday night slot because of the NBA playoffs on TNT. You get moved from basketball playoffs, and you have to be on Friday night, and you got to be on, same night as SmackDown. You're on right after them, on a different network. It isn't the same network, so second week of them being on Fridays, and this number comes in, and it is not good.
It is not a good number at all, Kevin. You're absolutely right, man. So the ratings over the weekend, as we've been talking about, for AEW Dynamite, they've been on Fridays for the past 2 weeks due to the NBA playoffs, and they were severely affected by these ratings because of the playoffs this week. Last week, just to kind of note you guys, hold on, I got the numbers right in front of me right here. There they are. Okay, here we go. All right. So just to give you guys a comparison. So Smackdown drew 1.8 million, and that's down from last week's, which was 2.3, right? So then we switch over to TNT. They're down 12%, 462,000 people.
And that's week to week, right?
That's a week to week. That is a week to week number. The week before, I mean, that's a 12, that's severe. But they're blaming it on the playoffs, and which is rightly understandable.
That makes complete sense.
That's huge. But that is huge.
And you saw a lot of people rush to say, "What? They're on Fridays. Don't guys know." Listen, you as a person, Justin is with us. Justin is texting in here. All right, he has a really cool avatar, which is apparently, I believe, him wearing some type of futuristic sunglasses. Yep. Justin, you can keep your sunglasses on and not be scared, because the future for AEW is still okay. If it's very important to you that the AEW ratings are big, so you can win arguments with people you never see on the internet. It's okay. AEW was on Fridays. It is the NBA playoffs. You're absolutely right. It's not their fault.
It really is.
This is the circumstantial game you're playing now by being on a network where you're going to get preempted all the time. And this is going to happen again. And it's going to happen on TBS. We know that AEW is moving over to TBS. They're going to move Dynamite over to TBS. And Friday night, they're going to have Rampage there. Am I correct? Or are they doing Wednesdays? Someone told me they were talking about doing a Wednesday night spot for, it would be like the first 2 hours would be Dynamite. Then they do a third hour of Rampage on TNT. Did someone say they were going to do that? Am I getting that wrong? Am I totally out of line? Okay.
No, you're absolutely right about that.
They're doing everything on Wednesdays. They're trying to do 3 hours on Wednesdays. That setup worries me in the future when you look at this, because the idea was, well, a Friday night right after SmackDown, the biggest, most watched wrestling show, right when they're done, we'll go on live and we'll do another hour of wrestling. But as we've seen, the 3 hour television wrestling element that isn't a pay-per-view, all right, weekly is hard, and we're just 2 weeks into this, and this is preemption. There's more NBA playoffs to come here. We have the finals. We're now in the Eastern Western Conference scenario right now, so there's a couple more weeks of this. I believe they go back to Wednesdays at least once in the next few weeks here ahead. But I don't know. I don't know if stretching fans from one night, you're watching for 2 hours and then jump to another hour, that seems concerning to me. I'm not saying they can't do it or can't pull off a decent number. But the number that's most important is the Dynamite number. That's their A show. That is their flagship brand.
Absolutely.
That show's only been around like 2 years, so they still need it to be really strong. What do you think, man?
It's funny because it's almost kind of like a testing ground to see how Rampage is going to do Friday nights. We'll have to see how they do post NBA playoffs, because if they do broadcast again on another Friday, it's going to be interesting, because if that number is going to be down there, then it almost just makes sense just to add that third hour on Wednesday night. But it's going to be extremely hard for them to do that.
Because then you're just doing the W. It's going to be, the perception is going to be you're doing the WWE thing. Like, we just want an extra hour TV to have an extra hour TV. And Correct. The idea is, well, yeah, we want that. And we need it. But if we do it on a different network and we treat it like a different show, you will quickly have the idea that Rampage is less than. And guess what? It's an hour. It is. It's technically less than. It's just one more hour of TV. It's not like another 2-hour TV show. Lucas Jackson says not more 3 hours. See, like there's a definitive line. The number one thing you hear about Raw with all people, asterisk, besides, oh, I don't like this storyline or I don't like this part of the show, is I just wish the show wasn't 3 hours every week. Some people think, oh yeah, 3 hours some week would be fine, before big pay-per-views and stuff. And they would do that like 10, 15 years ago, where they, every few weeks there'd be a 3 hour Monday Night Raw. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And then a little extra promos and stuff like that. But I do think it tests people's patience 52 weeks of the year. I don't know. It concerns me, but I mean, Dynamite's been able to beat the odds to begin with. AEW's been able to beat the odds in general.
They have been. And also, you have to keep in mind that filling in a 3-hour show is not hard. You've already planned these 2-hour shows for weeks in advance at a time, even months at a time. Try doing that with a 3-hour show, filling in that extra hour. What are you going to do? We'll see. It'll be interesting. But
All Elite Wrestling, they have an overflow of talent right now.
They do. They
have an absolute overflow of talent. There's plenty of people that they haven't been able to do as much or enough with to give them the benefit. And you see it in WWE. There's everyone's they aren't doing enough with this guy. And Jeff Hardy and Nikki Cross were featured this week on Raw, and everyone's like, why haven't they been featuring them all the time? Because you can't. Because they just can't. Even if the show's 3 hours, you can't tell the type of stories the way they want to tell them that same way. So some people go up, some people go down, just like the flow of the ocean. Dynamite is the flow of a lake. It's a very strong lake, and they're flowing in their own way. So that's okay.
Absolutely.
What are the numbers on SmackDown? SmackDown is the most watched show in all of professional wrestling. Still wide margin for them on Friday nights here.
Oh yeah, man. SmackDown did very well. It was down a little bit from last week because it was 2.3 mil the previous week, but this past Friday was 1.8. But then we also have some interesting news from Monday Night Raw, because Monday Night Raw, even though, and I do want to talk about it before we jump into our next story, we got to talk about that closing last night, the closing segment with Alexa Bliss's Playground. But even though with all the criticism that segment got last night, the viewership is up. The viewership was up 5% from 1.5 to 1.6 million. It's still not 2.3, but that's still a 5% increase from last week. And
that's big.
If you hate the segment or if you like this segment, probably there's a lot more people that hated it than liked it. My wife actually liked it. My wife likes all that supernatural storyline stuff.
I was up until about the last 15 minutes of the show. And mind you, I don't have to do coverage of the show. I could do some live tweets and stuff
Correct.
like that. So I felt okay with, hey, I had some things to do. I've been doing a bunch of radio work outside here at Sportskeeda, having a lot of fun with it. And I had my fill of wrestling. I saw some good matches. I knew they were going to do the Alexa Bliss thing. All right, they're going to end with an angle. I can split, and I know I was going to finish watching it, and I got to see it. I didn't think it was nearly as bad as people made it out to be.
I didn't either. I didn't
think it was great. I didn't think it was great, but I didn't think it was bad as people made it out to be. I think there was people were like, we're going to get a zombie. They're trying to do something goofy thing. And I'm ready to, And it was okay. It was, I wouldn't say it was a fantastic ending. I've seen better endings in Monday Night Raw, like hot, cool angles. And also ones they've done with Alexa Bliss. The fireball thing they did one time was wild.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, and now all these spooky, supernatural produced things you're going to try. I think the issue is it's a fire and ice scenario with a very over-the-top character. A very over-the-top character. Why am I always getting phone calls when we're on stream here? Always getting phone calls. And so a very over-the-top character in Alexa Bliss with a very serious character in Shayna Baszler. I don't know if the pairing is fantastic. If this is going to end in a match, I get what they're going for because it's super serious. And here's this like flighty devil girl like running around this cyborg wrestler. I get where on the surface that works. I just don't know if it's exactly clicking on screen. You with me?
I get you, and I kind of have that same sentiment as well. Just because. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't zombies, but it wasn't even better than that. I didn't think it was bad, and I might be in the minority here. I thought it was actually kind of entertaining. It evolved Alexa Bliss's character with Lily, so it kind of makes me look forward to what are they going to do with Lily? Is Lily going to be a physical person? Is that going to happen? Are we going to see that? And it's just something to evolve the character.
Went off on this, dude. Vince Russo went off on this. Legion of Raw, our post show with him, he went off quite a bit, and he's been saying for a while that Lily will indeed become like a character. And the idea of Lily is she's the sister Abigail. She's the spooky, not present but alluded to, constantly acknowledged character that they can eventually pull the trigger on and do something with. They did this with the evil omniscient corporate force that was Vince McMahon. Sister Abigail was that, and they kind of had some success with that in Bray Wyatt. That's what they're doing with Alexa Bliss and Lily, but because people are already asking, is Lily going to be a character? Is this just a prop that you can use and, sell some goofy dolls with? And there will be Lily dolls. There probably already is.
Oh, I'm sure there is. I have to look at the shop and see if they have anything related to that. Mm-hmm. But let's move on to our next story, man, because the Hall of Famers are probably calling it a quits on the TV land.
Mm-hmm. Bella Twins, very popular, whether you like it or not. Very divisive. People still very angry at the Bella Twins, and they are saying currently that their long-running reality show, which has been on the air here for about 5 years, is coming to an end at some point in the near future. And they are on a current TV deal. So if they're saying that, does this mean that TV deal is going to be done? It's worth noting here that Nikki Bella is on the record. She now has a child. Her sister Brie now has 2 kids. Of course, they also have Daniel Bryan, who's involved in this. He's married to Brie. He's on the show. So you're married into this thing. You're going to be on this reality show. That's a weird thing. Is you think about this too. Like this guy's been on this reality show outside of being in WWE now since 2016, 17, right? And so they documented the whole process of him and the injury and coming back and the kids. These are young kids. These are young mothers, in terms of that. But they're at a certain age where they're like, I don't want to keep doing this. Mm-hmm. And so they're kind of like seeing that this reality show thing has its window, and that window is starting to close. And they're basically saying like the show isn't done, but it's going to end. And we kind of see when that's going to end. They aren't saying that, oh, this is the final season or anything like that. They're not there yet. But it makes sense. I mean, Total Divas is sort of like ran its course. I don't think there's a long-term commitment with that, but the show's been on a long years. They're doing 6 seasons of a reality show. They just did a fresh one near the end of 19 to 20, which during the pandemic had to be hard to do as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But just to kind of dive in a little bit on these details, one of the reasons that the show might be coming to a close is because of their children, their family. They are raising a family. They had an interview earlier today with Entertainment Tonight's Deidre Behar. And just to kind of give you guys a quick synopsis of what happened in that interview, they were asking, it was like, is this going to go to an end soon? But basically they still have a couple more seasons in the bank, but it may not be as many as you think. It could be probably maybe just 1 or more, 2 more seasons. But it looks like the kids, it's like Bree's kid and her kid, they don't like the cameras. Apparently they don't like being on camera, and they don't want to subjugate them to being on camera and be like a docu-style family all the time. So they're gonna let the kids make their decision, give them their privacy, and whenever the show ends, the show ends.
So I'm of the thought that it's a, you know, you got to make that time call. You can't keep, especially when you have children. It's your priority is your kids, priority is your family, and you've shared enough of your life in this regard. They put out a book, they have a podcast, they have their own way of documenting this stuff in a way that they can control now because they have a very popular like video presence and online podcast. A very easy way to do that, to connect with your friends and not feel like you have to have your kids on it at all. You know, and they have their own following, so they have their own pirate ship. They've benefited from being on these big TV networks now. They've done their time, and there's still some talk of them coming back for a run in WWE that they say they want to have, but they want to wait for their kids to get a little bit older. What do you think of that? I know they're a very divisive thing. We heard people saying, "How are they in the Hall of Fame? How do you put them in the Hall of Fame out of other people?" We get those comments all the time whenever the bells come up here. So they are Hall of Fame worthy. They are, whether you like it or not, they're a Hall of Fame worthy guys.
They're a polarizing topic to talk about. Let's just put it like that.
Yeah. So leave it to someone to quickly say, I hope they don't come back. Dale says, I hope they don't come back. I hope they don't.
We have Krug Nucky here saying, why do you guys never talk about AEW matches?
What do we do? What are you talking about? We talk about AEW.
Are you paid by WWE? Seems like there's a fair bit of bias on this.
Wait. Are we? I'm gonna read it again. Are you paid? No, put it back up. What are you doing? Put the comment back up. Are you paid? Are you paid? Well, you gotta say paid. You gotta spell paid right. But all right, are you paid? Fair bit of bias. All right, so I'll knuckle up here. Craig, if I was paid by WWE, I would have a room that looks as nice as what Jose has, where he currently is.
Oh, thanks, bro. Appreciate it.
Instead of this, which looks like the backdrop for like a Little League photo. Yeah, the Thunder Zone, baby.
Listen, we're
not paid. We're not paid. I'm consistently someone that's going to be on our streams and on our videos and our content, our podcast as well. If you haven't done it, go ahead and subscribe. By the way, we're now audible in your ears all the time. We're putting out audio almost every day. So definitely check out. We had a top story we did yesterday. We talked about SummerSlam, going to Vegas, all that fun stuff. So
there's proof right there. There's proof. Dan Kuziak, who's a loyal viewer, SK Wrestling viewer. I don't know what he's smoking, but y'all talk about AEW all the time.
All the time.
Yes, all the time.
All the time, dude.
All the time.
And people like get at me because I just don't. I kind of poke holes and stuff. I just think right now the anti-WWE bias is at a all-time fever pitch. Like anybody that wants to dip that ship is dipping it after the releases in the past 2 weeks and WWE making these budget cuts and people going off on them. But giving AEW the slide when they did the same thing, like they didn't release anyone, we just let their contracts run out. Okay, so that's different than releasing them, right? All right, so we didn't fire them, so we didn't do that. And also WWE had some bad PR, like people getting their stuff sent to them in a garbage bag by somebody in an office, and that's unacceptable, right? And so you get all those things. So it's more just people. Well, why? I'm watching the show. How come you guys aren't crapping on WWE? Is more what your issue is. There's plenty of great things going on in All Elite Wrestling. Very, very, very fun stuff. I think they've had more interesting periods in the past. I do think there is that sense of like it has. It's got an edge. But I've just felt the edge poke a little bit more into me with different things in the past. I do think there's stuff they're holding out for. All Out, I think, is going to be amazing. I'm expecting to go in Chicago. Some of the best wrestling shows I've ever been to are All Elite Wrestling shows in the past few years. So I talk about their matches all the time. It's okay.
Great.
I talk
great
about
comment.
Jose. We talk about wrestling
all the
more
time
to each other than we do like our own families sometimes in this pandemic.
I see you more than I see my wife.
Whoa. When did we get married? When did I become your other wife? What happened?
We're wrestling united.
Okay. We are married. We are married digitally, I guess. So there we
go. But this is a great comment here from Thomas Bayliar or Bayard. I don't know how to pronounce it. Please correct me if I mess that up, Thomas. Wrestling still exists because people like Mad Dog Kevin keep it alive and interesting, like Bobby Heenan did in his days. You got to keep it interesting because everybody just loves throwing shade shade, shade, shade when they don't get something they don't like or they don't want. And all they got to do is just crap on it left and right instead of finding the silver linings and giving the props where, and we'll call it out. We'll call it out if it's bad. Yeah. And we've done it.
Yeah.
Did you guys forget WrestleMania Backlash Zombies? I mean, dude. Kevin still gets triggered.
Bring it up. Because I get triggered because people talk about zombies on the show, not Cesaro having the best match of his life. That's what bothers me. Ozzy bringing up SummerSlam here. We did get some big SummerSlam news. If you haven't checked it out, we do have a podcast, a video up about SummerSlam going to Las Vegas. Confirmed. Going to happen Saturday, August 21st, Allegiant Stadium. We knew for weeks, but confirmed. The announcement video for that hitting the web and hitting Monday Night Raw last night, featuring Cardi B, lining up with some rumored reports that we've heard circulating that she could be involved with this year's SummerSlam. No confirmation by her or WWE on that part. But Ozzy texting and saying SummerSlam will feature zombies with Bad Bunny with a misery match. Well, Bad Bunny. Well, one of those things was good. The Bad Bunny Miz thing, I think, was far exceeded anyone's expectations at WrestleMania. Their interaction,
it was great
in the ring. It was fantastic. The zombie thing, best we forget about that. But yeah, dude, come on. They're gonna do celebrity stuff at these big major shows. It happens. And
you know what's the most interesting part about this whole zombie situation? On how hard the Miz is no selling that he got eaten alive by zombies. Just no sell. You know,
they just didn't
even acknowledge it.
Yeah. You don't get the zombie virus if they bite you in your knee. You only get it like from the waist up.
Oh, okay. That's how it works. I didn't know there was a whole nother set of rules for WWE zombies.
Kayfabe zombie, dude. Kayfabe, they're not shoot zombie. It's kayfabe zombie. All right.
Gotcha.
All right. They're a good brother. This is a soft bite. You know what I mean? They don't do a hard bite. You know?
Exactly.
They do it with lips. We're being ridiculous now. If you haven't done it already, go ahead and subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. Turn on your notifications on YouTube as well. Once you subscribe with that bell on, ding, you can personalize it, whether you want to get all of our videos or most of our videos. So also make sure you have your notifications on. If you guys check us out on your TV, I love this. I know you enjoy this. Send us pictures of you watching the show on television. I there's something neat. Yes, exactly. You can do the dad thing where you take a picture of the television and you can send it to us. Hit us up on our socials. We are on Instagram. We are on Twitter. We are on Facebook. You watch our show on Facebook as well. If you haven't done it already, go ahead and get the podcast as well. We put out hours of audio on there every week. Sometimes we put out audio of interviews on there before the interview, like the video is produced. We can make the audio very, very possible. Bunch of really cool stuff. You have an interview with Chuck Palumbo we just dropped.
Yeah, that was a great interview. We talked about his new channel, the Chuck of All Trades. If you guys didn't know, Chuck Palumbo does tons of renovations, so check that out. He talks about his transition from WCW to the WWE back in the early 2000s, and an interesting story about how Billy and Chuck came together. That's all on the YouTube channel, so make sure you are subscribing and hit that notification bell so you never, ever miss when we have brand new interviews just like that, live streams like this, or any new content that drops on a daily basis, because we got tons of it coming out.
We will have you on Wednesday night here with the debrief. You and Rico El Glorioso.
Oh, that was a good one. That was a good. You rolled that R, bro. You're practicing.
I'm working on it, dude. All right. I've been around. And we will have that for you Wednesday night. We will have Dutch Mantel with us on Friday night, reviewing Friday Night Smackdown. Lot to see with him. He's definitely going to give us some insight into booking these big wrestling shows. He was talking about WWE sales stuff last night and things he knew about who potentially looked at buying WWE or could be a potential suitor, and he would know. So join us Friday night. There is some information I guess he will reveal possibly this week as well about that. So keep an eye on all of it. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. There's a lot of content you can watch or consume online. Plenty of it. There's almost an endless choice of it. And we have to keep feeding the beast. And you are the beast, and we will give you
feed you.
We will feed you. Yes, you are the zombie.
Feed you.
And we will give you the flesh. We will give it to you. Thank you guys so much for supporting everything we do. You can follow him at Jose_G_official. Follow me at Kev Kellam on the Twitter machine as well. Thank you so much for the support. It's been a very, very crazy time for all of us here in this world. As things get back to normal, please remember, when watching wrestling, do the most important thing, which is what, Jose? What is it?
Enjoy wrestling, guys. Have a good night.
Bye.